Hey, thanks for checking out Pac-10 Sports Talk. We're in week 12 of the NCAA football season. In this segment, we're going to move into the Pac-10 predictions that we have. And we're going to start off with Joel's prediction with UCLA at Washington. Joel, what do you think?
Thursday night game, which I love Thursday night games. A national audience for the Pac-10 and kind of show our style of play. So I think for the Pac-10 it's good. And both of these teams, UCLA and Washington, have a lot to play for. First, for UCLA, they need to win 2 out of the next 3 games to be bowl eligible. And I think that with UCLA, they're going to be able to score some points on Washington. Since Brehaus has been taken over for the last 4 games, he's been able to throw the ball a little bit more consistently, which has opened up that running game. So they've been a little bit more balanced. And I think that that will continue against Washington. I think with Washington's porous defense that they'll definitely be able to score some points. And for Washington, this is a huge game. They need to win. They need to win all their games. They need to win the rest of their games to be bowl eligible. And for them, a Thursday night game, the last home game for seniors and for Jake Locker, I think the crowd's going to be pumped. And I think Jake Locker is going to try to give it his all. But I think that's where Washington will fail, being that Jake Locker will be playing. He's playing with nursing broken ribs. And I think UCLA will know that he's not going to try to be that run threat. Typically when you play Washington, you always have to worry about Jake Locker maybe not throwing it and running. I don't think that fear is going to be in UCLA, knowing that he's nursing that rib. I think they're going to stack the box against Polk, and they're going to force Jake Locker to beat him through the air. And Jake Locker has not shown the consistency to beat people through the air in the pocket. Therefore, I'm going with UCLA on the road, and I'm going 28-21 Bruins.
I would agree. I actually think UCLA offensively has a better ground game than Washington. You know, and although this is on the road, Seattle, tough place to play a game. Really noisy crowd. You know, the Bruins have they have won 11 of the last 13 in this series. Gosh, it comes down to a better ground game. And, you know, as my colleague Joel here mentioned last week, you can count on 3 things: death, taxes, and Kai Forbath.
Yeah.
Right. One of the premier guys in in the country as far as kicking. Boy, it is really hard for me to bet against a trend like that. That UCLA being 11 for 13 against this team. Bruins are coming off a close one against the Beavers last week, and I think they're going to pull this one out. I'm going to go UCLA 24-21.
My question is, are there any healthy starting quarterbacks in the Pac-10 right now? Joel says that Locker's going to start. Is that the latest information?
Yeah,
okay.
He'll play.
All right. Well, with or without Locker, the Huskies in the last 3 games haven't been very good. They've been outscored 138-30 during that time span, and had those been boxing matches, the referees would have stopped the bout at halftime, or somebody got hurt. But UCLA's at least shown a pulse here recently. They beat Oregon State in their last outing, and so I'm going to go with a team with a pulse. I'm going to go with UCLA. I think it's going to be UCLA 31, Washington 19. So it looks like we all 3 agree on that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now Stanford's just coming off a win. They're going to play Cal. Jeremy, give it to us.
You know, the game played in Berkeley. The place is going to be packed up in the stadium up to Tightwad Hill. Probably I'm going to call in some reservations there in that game. You know, these 2 teams are coming into this year's rivalry game pretty banged up and bruised. You know, after the last week's matchup against Arizona State and Oregon. I just think Stanford is the more balanced team in this matchup. Of course, you got Luck. Got to watch them. Those guys running the ball. You got Luck coming out of the pocket. I'm really looking forward to this game. Don't have a whole lot to say. Luck. Boy, I just don't think Cal has enough left in the tank after last week's loss against Oregon. I'm going to go Stanford 27-17.
Thank goodness for Cal, it is at home, and for whatever reason, Cal plays better at home. Yeah. In fact, if Cal could have scheduled a 12-game homestand this year, they could probably be playing for the Rose Bowl. But unfortunately, they can't. But I see Cal definitely creating some problems for Stanford's offense, especially being that Owusu, Luck's favorite target on the whiteout, is questionable for this week. So even if he plays, he's not going to be 100%. And when you're going against Cal's defense, assuming it's the same one as last week, who kind of shut down Oregon, they're going to need all of their playmakers healthy. I think that in the long run, they definitely will create fits for Stanford, but there's just too much luck. And I don't think that Cal's offense can put up that many points to keep up with Stanford. Therefore, I'm going with Stanford 28-17.
Well, I'm confused as to whether the Cal defense is that good, or if they were just or if they're just a good matchup for Oregon. I'm not sure. If they're that good, Stanford is going to be in a little bit, I don't know about trouble, but they're going to have their work cut out for them a little bit more. But on the other hand, Stanford offensive line is a little bit more physical than the Oregon offensive line, so they might be able to keep the Bears out of their backfield long enough to do their usual damage. But the bottom line is, if Cal can disrupt, like Joel said, if they can disrupt Andrew Luck and that punishing ground game of Stanford, I think they'll keep the game reasonably close. But I think the Bears will keep the score reasonably close, but still in the end, I think they lose out. And I got it Stanford 27, California 17.
That's what I said.
That's what you said. So I'm changing my score. He's never right. Okay.
Okay, so the last game we've got this week is Oregon State hosting USC, just getting banged out from Washington State. Jack, what do you think?
Well, in that series, USC versus Oregon State, in 2006, Oregon State won. In 2007, USC won. In 2008, USC won. Or vice versa. Every year, they've traded back and forth.
Yeah.
So you would think that since the last year the Trojans won, so it's Oregon State's turn, right? Well, I don't think so. USC is on the push right now to win out the rest of their season, to end up going 10-3, and Oregon State, meanwhile, seems to be hell-bent on losing their last 5 games. They've already lost 2, and after USC gets through with them, they still got Stanford and Oregon waiting in the wings. So, I've always said that Mike Riley gets more out of his team than any other coach in the Pac-10, or maybe any other coach in the nation, I don't know, but right now the only thing that Riley seems to be getting out of his players are subpar performances. And, Riley's teams, they've always been the kind of team, like they started slow and they finished kind of fast. But this year they've added a new twist to that. This year of course they started slow, but now they're finishing slower. So it's a little change of pace for Oregon State this year. But having said all that, the Beavers may awaken from their stupor. They may win the rest of their games. They may get to a bowl game. They may knock Oregon off from their lofty perch. They could do all those things, but more than likely what will happen is that USC will finish 10-3, and they'll beat Oregon State this weekend. So I've got it USC 34, Oregon State 21.
Wow.
I don't see this game being that close. You have two teams, two totally different teams going 2 different places. You have USC, again, as I talked about, is maturing. They're becoming better with every game. And you have Oregon State that just has an identity crisis, both on the offensive and defensive side. I don't see that changing at all this week. I see USC in a blowout 37-17.
Boy, yeah. Oregon State coming off at a pretty embarrassing loss, against Washington State. Like Joel says, 2 teams going, USC is going up and Oregon State's going down. Gosh, Barkley's got some great stats, 25 touchdown passes, 9 interceptions. We talked about it, last segment, defensively, Oregon State's in the bottom of the barrel as far as defensive pass efficiency, and I think Barkley's going to expose that. However, USC the last few years, hasn't been very good playing at Oregon State, so could it be an upset? I don't know, but I just
the last 2 times.
I just don't see USC slowing down. Then I'm going to go with USC 41-17.
Okay. Well, there you have it. There you have the predictions for this week. We want to know what your comments are, so on YouTube, leave your feedback. On Facebook, leave your feedback. We want to know what you think. Thanks for checking us out.